This week on Did Y'all See, we're talking about whether or not you're scared to have a baby, Kyle Norman and his wife talking about the abuse and her taking him back, and Amber Rose stepping into the middle of the beef between Wiz and Kanye. Get into all this tea on Did Y'all See. Welcome to this new episode of Did Y'all See. As you can tell, we're in a new space.
Hello.
So if you guys like it, or if you don't, let us know in the comments below. You can be honest.
But watch your mouth.
So let's get into it.
Let's go.
All right, a bit of a somber note to start. So Kyle Norman of Jagged Edge were on Steve Harvey, and they just kept it real. He was talking about how he punched her, choked her, tried to shove her engagement ring down her throat. And she talked about all that she lost in the process. Like, you know, she lost her job behind this. She lost her family behind this. They disowned her because she decided to go back to him. And she even lost the foster child that she had behind this. They just, you know, you can't be in an abusive environment. So later that same year that this happened, 2015, they got married. So I guess the question is, do you guys believe abusers can be reformed? And if you were in that situation, you had a family member who was being abused or who was abused in that heinous manner, would you disown them?
Do I think an abuser can be reformed? Yes. Do I think an abuser can be reformed immediately? No. Like, you need time to get yourself together. If I'm just there, you know, and you just on your best behavior to keep me around, you're gonna fall back into those old ways eventually. I know that they said that he was just under the influence of drugs and alcohol, and that's what caused it, and it was only a one-time thing.
And so what happened?
Yeah, his dad.
He learned his dad had cancer.
Yeah.
And he was on the phone, and she asked him to lower his voice, and that's when he just clocked out.
That's in you, bruh. Like, maybe he's working on it, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I hope it doesn't happen again. But just for somebody to go that far, to the point where you're beating me to where you're trying to strangle me with a piece of jewelry, that was, I don't know if that was the first time. That's just really extreme.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't disown my family member. However, I do think that when people are in abusive relationships, you can't always tell them that person is wrong, that person is bad, because then there's like that pushback. Yes. So it's like, it's one of those things where you can be there to be supportive. However, you just have to be kind of careful of like the advice you give them, because it can work against you, basically. As for his interview, that wasn't the first time. That was never the first time. That was like the millionth time, because like you could just tell when he was talking, like, you're a liar. You're lying to us. And then you have all these Bible quotes. When you use Bible quotes, you're suspect. In certain situations, it's like, you bringing God into this? Now we know Jesus. Oh, okay. I pray for her safety, because he during this, he looked like he just had that, he just might clock out again, you know, so.
Yeah, my thing is, I think there's a difference between, I think abusers can be reformed when it's clear that, I don't know, I just feel like there's a difference between somebody who hits you one time, like slaps you or something, and somebody who like goes out of their way to like viciously assault you for like minutes and minutes and minutes. Like, I just feel like that's different. I feel like those kind of people, you should pray for them. You should want them to seek help and get help, but I wouldn't stay with that person. Even if I really wanted to in my heart, I really couldn't do that, because I just don't know what you would put me through. In the future, I can't count on you to have your stuff together. And if we bring a child into this, I mean, you made me lose my foster child, but if we were to bring our own child into this, then what would they see?
And she said she lost pieces of her memory. Like,
Oh, girl, hell no.
Hell no.
Yeah.
That couldn't work.
Yeah. My thing is, from the family aspect, first off, I just would be like, extra close afterward, because I need you to know, as the abuser, like, she can always call me, she can always text me, she can always come to my place and stay. She's not going to be left alone. I might make pop-up visits just to make sure, I'm talking to her every night to make sure everything is cool before she goes to sleep, because I want you to know that someone's going to be looking for her and looking for you in case anything goes down again. You can't control anybody, even your relatives. You know, they're going to do the heart wants what the heart wants, even if what it wants is crazy as hell. So you just have to be there to support that person and hope and pray that they finally see the light. So, and as far as abusers being reformed, I think it's possible too, but I think it's very difficult when there are no consequences for the action. Like, you beat the hell out of me and we still got married. So in your mind, obviously some people want to, do better for themselves and for their partners, but it's like, you didn't really suffer anything for this. Right. You got exactly what you wanted and what you already had. So it's like, what really happened?
Yeah.
So it's to me, it's too much. I would at least waited a good year and some to make sure that wasn't gonna happen again. I don't know how she can live in that house every day. Because I'm like, anytime I have an issue with you and I want to address it, I don't know how it's gonna go over.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And this is a marriage, like we're supposed to be forever. I don't know what's gonna happen. Mm-hmm. That's just very scary. It's very scary. So this next topic is one that Jasmine wrote, and basically it was like, are you scared to have a baby?
Scared of baby.
So go ahead and tell us what your thought process was.
I'm gonna just break it down. Everyday stuff, like rushing out of the house in the morning. What if I had to take a kid to school? Or like coming home and cooking dinner. Like, what if I had to do homework after this? Like every task, like if I forget to feed the dog, or not forget to feed the dog, but say I forget to put water in her bowl for an extended period of time, but it's like, would I forget to feed my kid? And I'm just like,
nah, you won't forget.
Motherhood is scary as hell. Just having somebody depending on you, leeching on you all the time. I hang on my mother's every word. Like, I'm literally 25 years old, still on the titty. Like, my mother cannot make too many moves without me, like, on top of her. And it's just like, yo, I don't know. Kids are, like, a lot. And that journey is scary as hell. Like, you're responsible for keeping, like, a human, like, living and breathing every day. And if you don't, you go to jail. And it's just, like, a lot.
Yeah, because this past weekend, my mom, like, had a talk with me about, like, her plans to, like, move on and, like, retire, and she wants to, like, go to the South, and I was just like, like, that's weird, and I'm gonna be 27 this year, and it's like, I need you to, like, be in the same, 5-10 mile radius. So I don't know, like, like, as an adult, how to do certain things, but it's always good to, like, have your mom there to, like, break it down for you, or because I think also, like, we make things so much more bigger in our minds, or then you have to, like, listen to kids talk. Like, sometimes I'm on the bus and kids they're just talking, they're just going, and it's like, you can't ignore them. You cannot, because I judge parents who are like, right, yeah, right, like, taking their selfies.
You don't want to hurt their self-esteem.
Exactly, it's so much.
Yeah, I saw this woman. I was walking behind her in Penn Station the other day, and she had 2 kids. And her kids it was early as hell, and her kids were talking. They would not shut up. And they were so articulate, and she was so patient with them. And it was very early in the morning. I was aggravated, and I ain't had no kids to take to school. I was just looking at them, because sometimes when you see people like that, you're like, oh, maybe they're on vacation. I looked, it was a book bag, and a briefcase. She was taking them to school, and she was going to work. And they were like, oh, mommy, can we do something? And she was like, oh, no, sorry, guys, the train was late today, but we can go tomorrow. But just as calm, no type of aggravation in her voice. And I'm like, I wish I could be that patient. I pray I could be that patient with my kid. Because Lord knows mornings.
I have no patience. I don't even want to talk to anyone in the morning. Like, don't look at me, don't speak.
Exactly.
Right.
Don't even breathe too loud in the morning.
Right.
No, hilarious. I'm getting better at mornings, because even this morning, my fiance got up and I was like, good morning. And usually I'm like very quiet in the mornings, but I don't know what was going on. And he was like, But anyway, as far as kids though, I do ask parents, I'm like, okay, because I have a patience issue for real, or whatever. But I always ask them, like, so how do you have the patience for this? Like, they were like, well, it's always different when you have your own kids. Like, you find that patience. So I'm nervous about having that load of responsibility, but it's also exciting. But I also have, like, petty reasons and things that I'm, like, scared of motherhood and stuff like that, and especially with, like, trying to cook for people and all that. Trying to cook consistently. No, well, petty is, like, me being like, well, I just lost all this weight. And so then trying to go and have a baby, then it's going to be back on me.
Right.
And that's scary, too, because how will I go when it's time to get it back off? But, I mean, at the end of the day, like,
I don't think that's petty, though.
Somebody in the comments had a good analogy. They were like, becoming a parent is like waiting online for like a really scary roller coaster. It's like you're excited to get on the ride, but at the same time you're like, but then they were like, once you get on, it's like, you good.
And then it's done before you know it.
Oh, it's true.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a really good analogy. Man, I don't know. I'm scared, but like you said, like I've been scared all my life, really. I was scared in first grade, so just always scared. But I do think, you know, you just figure out ways to work things out. But I know, like, you came to my house the other day and we didn't have no toilet paper. Like, sometimes my sister...
They was in there deliberating on the low. I went into the bathroom, I'm like, oh, and they're like, something about the toilet paper.
I was like, so should we go get some, or should we, like, you know, things that, like, sometimes my sister, I'm like, well, let's have ice cream and chips for dinner. Like, you know, and with a kid, you can't do that. You know, you have to feed them, like, you have to have vegetables every day. Like, those type of things are, like, a lot to think about. Like, the same thing when you get into, like, a relationship, you have to consider somebody's feelings.
Right.
But this is even more important because, like, you're building this person from, like, scratch, which is terrifying.
Right.
It's very, very, very scary. Did y'all see that Wiz and Kanye and Amber got into it yesterday? Basically, Kanye changed the name of his album again. It's from Swish to Waves. And I don't know what the Waves culture is, but apparently Wiz felt like Kanye wasn't enough a part of it or in tune to it to change. Wavy enough to change
Max
the
B
album.
is the wave originator, even though he's serving 75 years in jail.
Okay. So all this backstory. Right, me either. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, Kanye's not wavy enough. So Wiz was mad that he changed the album to Waves. And he was like, I'm about to smoke this KK. I don't know if it's Khalifa Kush or whatever, some type of weed. Kanye took it to mean Kim Kardashian, and the floodgates were open.
As always.
We're off. So this fool was talking about, you think you own Waves? I own your son. Mad because a stripper trapped you? He's like, I know every time you look at your son, you think, oh, she got me for 18 years. And it's just like, whoa. How did Baby Bash get involved in all this?
Cute self.
Girl, he don't deserve that.
At all.
So Wiz said something, but it wasn't really relevant. Who came through was Amber Rose, and she was like, oh, Kanye, you sad that there's no one to play around in your asshole? Hashtag fingers in the booty ass bitch.
Because we knew Kanye was into some stuff.
Okay, and
We were waiting for Amber to come through.
she said she wasn't gonna do it, but when you bring the kids into the situation,
Don't talk about my baby.
so what do y'all feel?
Kanye.
Somebody
really
said that
needs to
Kanye's
relax.
still in love with her.
There's something, because I think there's a piece on for Harriet and a few other media outlets where it's like he's obsessed with her. Every single argument or anytime he's promoting something, she comes into the mix, or somehow she just has to be brought up. And I feel like your relationship is how many years old? It's been done. It's been deaded.
Both y'all married.
Okay. Have children, and somehow, some way, she always comes up in the conversation. So yes, you are fucking obsessed with her.
Girl, I was on Tumblr the other day. Somebody was like, I hope my pussy game is that good.
Girl!
So where's my ex was talking about me 6 years, 2 marriages, and 3 kids later?
Seriously. Like, nobody was talking about your raggedy ass wife, and you just went from 0 to 100 for no reason. Coming for someone's child? What did anyone's kid do to you? And even if he were talking about your wife, he didn't talk about your child. Why was that necessary?
Girl.
For Kim's ass, who's been with everybody from here to Albuquerque?
Okay, I'm like, if you own Bash, then a whole lot of people own your kids. Let's not, that logic.
All of Kim's exes were trending yesterday.
Ooh.
All of them. And you did this to yourself.
But I do disagree on the Amber Rose thing. I don't think that he still loves her. I think he uses her as like an example of what kind of power he thinks he has. Because in his mind, he built her.
Yes.
So to me, it's not like, oh, I'm still obsessed with her. It's like, oh, let me remind you. Because he was trying to say like, oh, I'm your OG and I will be respected as such or whatever. So in his mind, he feels like you got trapped by, you have what you have because of me.
Right.
Because I made her.
Because I created her.
I created her. You got trapped by her and now you have this baby by her. So, respect me as such or whatever. So to me, that's what I look at when I think of him bringing her up. He feels like he can say whatever about her and try to downplay her now because it's like, you're not with me no more and I built you up so I can tear you down just as quick and just as fast and just as in a hurry. And I think when you're really off like that, like you don't know, you can't reel yourself back in. And here's another thing. I'm just going to throw that out here.
Yeah.
But I do feel like when you lose people in your life, when you have people later, sometimes you're like too obsessive over them because he lost his mom. And I think
That's good.
in a way, it's like his mom died, she went and got plastic surgery. So I think in a way, you have your mom, and maybe he felt like there were certain things he could have said to her to make her feel more whatever about herself, or to do whatever, or just to make her feel confident in whatever she was doing. So now he has this wife who's also bear these children for him. So in his mind, he's like, he was like, don't ever come talk about so-and-so, and my girl this, and blah, 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 and all of this. So it's like an insane kind of like protection over your brood. So that's what I think of when I see Kanye. Of course, he definitely shouldn't have talked about Baby Bash, because I love Baby Bash. She's so freaking cute and smart. And I don't like when people do that. Stop bringing up people's kids, because they have nothing to do with anything. And too many rappers and too many people in general do that nowadays. But I look at Kanye and I just feel like you can't think anything too deeply into anything he does anymore, because he's so off.
I think at the end of the day, he is a good guy, but I just really, I really resent the fact, honestly, that he feels like he has ownership over Amber Rose and everything she'll ever touch and do in her life from here until, including her child. Like, to me, that is just, it's so offensive, and it's so, like, it's just so indicative of the way men treat women. Like, I built you, I created you, I own you forever. And it's just like, no, you didn't. You know, you didn't. She was a person before you, and she's a person now after you. So it's just like, you just went too far. You just went too far. I was talking to my boyfriend about it, and he was like, well, you know, he expressed regret. I'm like, regret is not an apology. If you talk about my son, the least you could do as a decent human being is like, you know what, I'm sorry I brought your child into this. That wasn't right. You know, and then we all know Kanye's crazy, and we all know he's gonna pop off again and again and again. That's just who he is. But you need to be man enough to apologize, because you know you don't know how to reel yourself in. Then come through and apologize, and not to Wiz, to Amber and Wiz, because you talked about their son together, and stop. And then again with the whole a stripper, like, boo, your baby mama, your wife, is on camera sucking dick. I don't want to hear about no stripper. And that's your wife. You were supposed to ride for her, but don't point out another woman.
Right. And that's the point.
Don't point out another woman. Love Kim, but you ain't got to tear down Amber to love Kim. And that's what irritates me. Just love Kim.
Off people don't know how to say sorry. They just want to come back around and act like nothing happened.
Just delete
trust me, I know these people. They just be like, it's like a whole new day. Hey, be like, oh, you don't remember when you cussed me out?
Yeah.
Okay. And because they know people are going to be okay with it.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I was going to say. I'm like, he acts the way he does, and he treats her Amber the way he does, because it's indicative also of how society treats her.
Yes.
It's okay for him to call her a stripper and to say all of these things, because even when GQ acts like, everybody in general acts like he made her. So when society at large is telling me that I made you, then I have no problem saying that, because everybody's going to back me up and agree with me on that. And that's what's really sad. It's like, and because Kim looks like this, and she was able to do what she was able to do, and nobody, and mainstream people don't bring that up as often. She gets to be like, so what if she did a tape? It made her millions, and now she's doing her own thing.
She has an empire
But for
now.
you got this, and you don't have this, and you don't have that. So I was going to say that too. I just feel like it's not just him being trifling as well. It's also the way we even, because when people can back you up, when there's like proof of stuff, be like, did they not just call you this and this? Were you not just mad because of this and that? You know, it's because society thinks it's okay to be like, a man made you. When you're in a relationship with them, they then have a print on you. And that's, kind of
just sad. I'm just like, you love this woman.
Yeah.
If you don't love her anymore, you loved her. You made a whole album about her, and now she's not even worth human decency? Come on now. That's it for this episode of Did Y'all See? For more videos like this one, be sure to log on to MadameNoire.com.